Hello, dear viewer. Once again, I have a confession to make. This has been a complete, utter. Hello, dear viewer. I was in a relationship with a beautiful woman recently. Unfortunately, we had to end things because she wanted to pursue greater ambitions, like becoming the next quote-unquote it girl. Sadly for me, I lacked the understanding to know what that meant, but my time in the O Block has taught me some valuable life lessons. For example, the streets are a jungle meant to be respected. Everything you saw in Training Day was in fact accurate, and that the presence of the English rock band Radiohead is actually more prevalent than you'd think. But how does this relate to Dark Souls 3? More specifically, Dark Souls 3, the Fire Fades edition for the PlayStation 4, played with backwards compatibility on a PlayStation 5 Pro, with the optional optical drive. Think of the Soul of Cinder, the final antagonist of the game, and arguably the whole series, as the op on the block who wants to jack your shit. What would you do in this theoretical situation? If my studies of the rap game have taught me anything, is that this situation calls for action. A coward and a thief, the Soul of Cinder wants to take what's rightfully yours. So the only course of action acceptable for a wise street samurai like yourself is to outright kill him, or more technical term, walk him down. But heed my warning. You can't just jump off the porch and expect to become the biggest hitter on your block. You need experience if you want to be a real shooter. Luckily for you, there are 4 other corners to be taken over before moving on to the Soul of Cinder and becoming 2-bit gangster. The first corner to take over is in the hands of a gang. They call themselves Farron's Abyss Watchers, which is kind of mid-2000s and doesn't inspire fear at all. I don't know what's more lame, the shit that these Abyss Watchers got on, or the goofy ass chain gang. Take care of them and head through the spot. If you're wondering what happened to that bitch made Aldrich, he gathered some of his cronies and decided to relocate to the Motel Anor off the exit of Londor in Irithyll up there where the OGs used to hang out, you know, Gwyn and them folk. After standing on business and taking Aldrich and his goons to the ringer, we gotta head southbound to the profane capital, or as the kids say, the projects, to raid the apartment of one Yorm the Giant. If you want, you can bring backup. And this is gonna be a sad day because one of your homies used to ride with him back in the day. After that, take an Uber back up to Lothric Castle, kill a homeless man being puppeteered by aliens, get your knowledge up by hitting up the local library, maybe perhaps print out that pirated copy of Harry Potter, and finally coronate Prince Lothric by giving him his crown. Insert killing metaphor here. 4 corners up and 4 corners down. All you need is the biggest op. However, I heard the Soul of Cinder got a little baby mama down by Ariendo that we're gonna hit up and see if we can get lucky, because what we're after is complete humiliation. Soul of Cinder called you a bitch. He said that Unkindled One was a bitch-made rat. He called your fire maiden a hoe. He said that if he was ever near that musty-smelling Andre, he'd bury him himself. I don't know about you, but no one talks about the squad like that and lives to see the next day. We're going to Ariendo, asking Freed for a romantic firelight dinner where we proceed to create some backshots that send us to the end of time, where we're going to clap one of Soul of Cinder's OGs, Slave Knight Gale. Gale was running with Soul of Cinder since the gang war between the dragons, and even though they haven't been tight lately, it's still gonna make Soul of Cinder cry man tears where he finds out his friend was brutally killed at the ends of time. Once the grocery list of victims is crossed off, we can finally show the Soul of Cinder who's boss by giving him the classic 1-2, and there you go. Your op is dead. You got your firekeeper keeping you snug by the fire, and all there's left to do is romantically watch the world end. Hello, dear viewer. If you're anything like me, then you're a young stud in your prime courting and having great intercourse with many women. However, there arises a problem. You see, because of my prolonged and repeated use of my royal scepter, I've had the displeasure of experiencing what men in their late 40s with ugly wives have had to deal with. ED. You see, this problem with my little guy down there is such a major snag in my goals of bedding 10,000 women before my 30s that I was contemplating ending my life in a violent basketball game. The guys would have surrounded me and cried as I laid out on the hard hardwood floor, bleeding from all of my orifices because I tried dunking a basketball. But thanks to the patron of the segment, the Healing Church, I no longer have this problem. One simple blood transfusion and a little nap later, and I was feeling as good as new. The effect was so miraculous that the first thing that I did was kill a violent wolf that was in the clinic where I got my transfusion, impressing Yusefka so much that she wanted me, bro, trust me. We hit it off and she asked me to spread the news of this great new treatment, so I did just that. Unfortunately, the local soccer team lost a Champions League match, so the streets were rampant with governors looting and destroying the town. So I had to employ my newfound manhood and commit some murders. In self-defense, of course. A couple of people there, a couple of women here. Ladies, did you know you can get a blood transfusion as well? Have you ever wanted to look like insert generic celebrity here? Or perhaps you wanted to hop on insert generic trend here? First of all, I'm obligated to tell you that you don't have to do that because this is all for vanity. But in reality, of course you want to look like that. Everybody does. You can hop and scoot to Yusefka's clinic as well and get a lovely blind old man to help you, and you too can look like a reincarnation of a Hindu god with that bod. Ooh, you look good, girl. So what are we waiting for? What's that? You can afford it? No problems with that, dear viewer. We do financing, and if you can't afford the financing, you can always do us a favor or two to pay us back. This is from personal experience. Yusefka started to lose her mind from my charn or something, and I had to search for help. So I went to the headquarters by the cathedral district, and I couldn't get any help. So I went to the other side of town to the university to see if any of those lame brainiacs could help me, but all I got was some band guys playing King Crimson. So I said, whatever, I'm gonna help Yusefka, and she's gonna be so impressed, she's gonna like wanna marry me or something. So I showed those losers my high dive form and killed some bugs that were infesting their dorms, and they told me about this local spot where this guy Mikolash hangs out. Now, according to legend, Mikolash has got some sticky icky that is so powerful it can make you see like weird phantasmal beings and ladies with huge heads that freak you out or some shit. I'm thinking, great, maybe this can help calm down Yusefka or something. And when I try to buy some green, Mikolash totally starts acting like a bitch and running away from me. I had to give him the dukes when he started slapping me with his long ass tentacle. And before I know it, I'm hearing some fucking baby crying or something. I'm tripping balls, and when I go back to the clinic, Yusefka is nowhere to be seen. So I got no cush and no push. But thankfully, thanks to the amazing powers of the blood transfusion, I can tell my boss to stick it up his ass and give him the finger. The old man gets up from his chair because he doesn't like that. And I'm still wondering if I'm tripping balls from the legendary spider kush that Mikolash was smoking in that tower. Long story short, I paid off my debt by killing like an alien invader or some shit. Anyway, if you're suffering from ED like I was, pay a visit to any clinic in Yarnum to get a Blood Church approved blood transfusion and change your life for the better, like me. Side effects include increased body hair, dental reformation, and some claim minor blood loss. This product has not been approved by the FDA. Please do not take it pregnant or nursing. Hello, dear viewer. If you're anything like me, you work 140-hour weeks and are in constant state of stress that one day your volatile day trading portfolio is going to be nuked by the newest meme coin sweeping the internet. I spend at least 230 hours a week staring at a screen looking at numbers fluctuate, gawking at lines going up and down, and crying at how badly my blood pressure keeps increasing and decreasing. I need a vacation. Somewhere to wind down and really start to appreciate the little things in life. That's why I've decided to go to Boletaria. You see, Boletaria is a beautiful place with lots of inviting people that want to sit down and get to know you. In my lifeless, hopeless office where I wither away for months at a time, seeing the money in my accounts dwindle and surge in an endless cycle that akin to the waves of a beach endlessly moving on the sands, there is nothing that brings me joy but in Boletaria. That is where I found peace. Peace through serenity of its many locales, happiness through its accompanying nature, and relief that I finally found a place that takes life one step at a time. To address the elephant in the room, yes, I'm aware of the allegedly ugly past where Boletaria was constrained by the PlayStation 3 and forced to run at a lower resolution, affecting the economy and essentially making the nation a third world country. But thanks to our powerful leader, False King Allant, or lovingly referred to as the FAC, Boletaria has seen prosperity and become a booming tourist destination. In the modern day Boletaria, you can see the sights, take in the sounds, and taste the culture, talking about the cuisine. Here in Balatara, you will find its occupants enjoying hundreds of years of refinement in the food, leading to the best dishes you've ever eaten. It's so good, you'd feel like you're eating something straight from the soul. In Balatara, you can find 5 distinct regions to enjoy to the fullest. Let's begin with the capital, where our beloved the Fac lives. The Balatarian capital holds the throne of the Balatarian Empire and many interesting and historic landmarks to visit and learn about. However, if you do visit the capital, please be advised that a local vagrant has inhabited the mausoleum and refuses to leave. Make sure to pet the dragons for me. The Stone Fang Mountains are an incredible area for people who love to hike and explore decrepit mines with the whole family. At the end of a very long trail and guarded by a very stern looking man is an ancient dragon god ready to answer any questions regarding the primordial world and resolving any mysteries regarding the earliest of days. Truly a watermark moment for your little ones. If somewhere with a great mall is more your style, then maybe the Tower of Latria is more your speed. For the bachelor out there or anybody looking to experience the finer things in life, the Tower of Latria holds the finest balls and most luxurious accommodations in all of Balataria. Simply ascend the tower and be greeted with excess. You may even have the opportunity to meet Balataria's next it boy, the old monk. If you think you can handle it, the Shrine of Storms may be your preferred destination. Bask in the rich culture of an ancient tribe that was wiped out because they were heathens or something. The FAC has asked me not to go into any further detail. Finally, there's the Valley of Defilement, and if you think that this place was going to be any good, you'd be wrong. Absolutely and completely wrong. This place fucking sucks big time. It has cheap real estate, sure, but man, these city utilities are so bad the gunk is just piling up in the middle, turning into a giant sludge lake. I will admit though, Made in Australia has made my time there kind of worth it, even if Garo Vinland broke my spine and put me in a wheelchair. So come on down to Balataria and enjoy yourself. It beats sitting in an office cubicle, that's for sure. And if you're one of the 10 lucky customers to book a trip, you'll have the privilege to meet the real King Alon, wherever he may be. Hello dear viewer, I'm not doing okay. In fact, I'm feeling pretty down. So down in the dumps because my wife left me for this guy Gwen, Lord of Sunlight or whatever. Imagine this, happily married with 3 kids. One is a knight and the other 2 are squires to silver knights in Anne Orlando. My wife and I are celebrating our anniversary when she tells me during dinner, which was so romantic and I had planned for weeks, that she was having an affair with Gwen, Lord of Sunlight, our fucking landlord. I just couldn't believe it. How could she have fallen for such an egotistical asshole? This guy Gwen, first of all, is like 1,000 years old or something, and speaking from personal experience, is crusty and smells like cheese. Not to toot my own horn here, but I single-handedly defeated a Taurus demon that was threatening our neighborhood just the other day, and you know what she has to say to that? Nothing. What has Gwen done for us in the last 300 years? Absolute jack shit. All he does is sit in that kiln of the first flame, making sure nobody touches his precious source of light, even though, newsflash, the first flame is nothing more than an ember in a giant ash pile. She doesn't know this guy is washed and old and got his ass kicked by some beef jerky looking motherfucker just the other day. But instead of linking the first flame like Gwen was so desperate for somebody to do, this wandering psychopath just walked away, leaving Gwen drooling unconscious on the floor. And she still has the gall to tell me that there's a divine presence emanating from him that she simply couldn't resist? Does this guy Gwen think he's Zeus or some shit? You know what I heard in the grapevine the other day? That the town Ulasil was consumed by the void. A darkness so deep that the entire town was submerged in shadow. And you know what Gwen, our high and mighty savior, did? Nothing. He sent some blind giant with an obsession for carving rocks to take it back. And you know who ultimately killed that raging monster slash kidnapper? That wandering beef jerky man who moans like a girl when you hit him. I'd understand if my wife was mesmerized by the sheer heroics of that man. But Gwen? Seriously? Even his own family hates him. Where's his firstborn? Do you know? I'll tell you. Gwen's beloved firstborn thought it better to hang out with the enemy than be with his own father. His daughter is the same. Where is she? I don't know. The only one stupid enough to be hanging around with this bum is his boy failure of a son who is too much of a twink to wield a proper sword and is hiding all day in that long ass hallway. I don't know how Seath the Scaleless puts up with being this guy's neighbor, but Seath is a wacko, so maybe that explains it. I tell you, I get no respect. I go into the sewers to clean out the clogs, and what do I find? A giant tooth dragon looking thing, which I promptly put down and get nothing for credit. Not even some pom-pom from my wife. Nothing. Meanwhile, the guy Gwen hasn't showered in like months and is still wearing the lame ass clothes that Isolith made him when they were fighting the dragons, which was like, I don't know, thousands of years ago. It's unbelievable. The only good thing this guy Gwen has done is flooding New Londo, and as much as it pains me to think that all those people drowned, the four kings were some freaky looking people. I didn't trust them. Needle was right to abandon Gwen and do his own thing down in the catacombs. I'd do the same if I was in his shoes. You basically put in most of the work against the dragons. What do you get? Nothing. Like always, it's always Gwen taking the glory and propping himself up so everybody thinks he's the best. But not anymore. I'm here, dear viewer, sitting in the Firelink Shrine, thrown out of my own home without a pot to piss in. I'm bound to turn hollow any moment now. So I'm telling you this because I'm gonna show that jerk Gwen who's boss. I'm gonna walk down to the kiln of the First Flame, beat up his groupie hoes, the Black Knights, and thrust my big hot sword right up Gwen's ass so he knows nobody fucks with me and nobody fucks my wife without my wanting so. Hello dear viewer, if you're like me, then you were some loser living with his parents, having nothing to live for, and more importantly, not having a savings account that makes the average billionaire blush. You see dear viewer, if it weren't for my extensive and determined hatred over the video game Dark Souls 2, the Scholar of the First Sin for the PlayStation 4, played on a PlayStation 5 with optional optical drive, then I wouldn't have the money that I have now. You see, what the banks don't want to tell you is that there's an infinite money glitch on the internet, one of many, but this one is especially effective. If you start doing YouTube and proceed to make video game content, then you go ahead and make a video hating Dark Souls 2, then the money will just start falling into your lap. You will have so much money that you wouldn't know what to do with it. But I take it a step further. I just don't hate on this video game for money. I do it for the fame and the culture. The people love when I shit on Dark Souls 2. They love it when I bring it up as the butt of the joke for the 30 millionth time. How can you explain my vast riches if this wasn't true? I just bought my third Lambo after I released a video describing how there are too many bosses in this game. The best part is that I've never even made a game before. I don't even know how to edit in Premiere, let alone vibe code and game design, all that. What matters to me is how much the state of Oklahoma is gonna tax me for my Fortune 500 status. Truth be told, I kinda like Dark Souls 2. It's not perfect, but every time I play it, I have a good time. Except for that fucking run back to the second smelter boss in Broom Tower. That's worse than tipping the waiter $300 after I take the mayor to brunch and explain to him that taxing me isn't gonna help the city. In fact, I think if you tax me less, it would benefit everybody. I just paid this OnlyFans model 30 stacks to cosplay as the Emerald Herald. She called me a loser, but I couldn't hear because I stepped into my private jet with custom Moonlight Greatsword colored livery. I gotta thank Dark Souls 2 for the prosperity that has entered my life. Truth be told, I'm a one-trick pony, and this is eating at me. The fact that I'm a fraud and really don't deserve all this. I am so sorry, dear viewer. The money really isn't what matters to me. It's my credibility as a YouTube video game critic. Please keep in mind that I've never, ever made a video game before, nor have taken any classes in game design. It's just that I play so many video games that I think I can talk with authority about these collaborative projects that are in reality a miracle that they get made in the first place. I will be the first to admit that my opinion is always right. I'm actually the first and last voice on what makes a video game good or not. And no, this is not because I like Dark Souls 2 so much that I framed it next to my family photo. I'd sell out my homie just to play Dark Souls 2 for the first time again. Anyway, let's focus up. Alright. Dark Souls 2 is actually not that good. It's actually ass. This game is so bad that it made me throw up the expensive caviar that I had for lunch. So bad that the PMC that I own and stationed outside my 1,500 acre estate has to go on code red because it's a threat to my life. But the good thing is that if you follow my investment advice and go ahead and make a silly YouTube channel that starts making video game criticisms and start making videos about hating Dark Souls 2, or if you're a little bolder, Elden Ring, then you too can become the newest member of the Billionaire Boys Club. My only question is why more people haven't accessed this easy money hack. I'm living proof that nothing can go wrong when manipulating popular opinion and making a profit from it. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go to my meeting with the governor, discussing my establishment of a non-profit AI company data center for my quarterly investors. But I think I can sneak in a boss fight against a Fume Knight real quick. Hello, dear viewer. Elden Ring, and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree.